listen, let's start with Adam Idah. It's got a little bit messy, this whole situation. He's obviously not available today. How big a problem is that centre-forward area going to be for Brendan Rodgers if Adam Idah does go and there is no replacement in the door?
I mean, the Adam Idah situation sort of sums up Celtic in recent times with their transfer policy. They seem to be making it up as they go along. How can a guy, you know, go down to Swansea and then get hauled back? It's a pity the club didn't sort of make that stance with Kyogo and Nicholas Kuhn. You know, when they ended up eventually selling them. I think Brendan said a couple of days ago he would have liked a replacement in for Nicholas Kuhn. He was expecting one. But look, I don't think anybody's doubting, and Brendan also said this the other day, that the board and the recruitment department of the club want to do well, but there has to be a plan and a strategy. And Brendan also said the other day about the business model working well, but then said he wants the football model to work as well. So essentially saying that they're not quite in alignment. And we know the issues which, you know, there's been for Celtic. The fact of the matter, Balak Wisher starting today, but he should have been earlier. The horse has already bolted. But the Idah situation, a total mess, and that pretty much sums up sort of Celtic from January onwards. Whether it's complacency or incompetence, whatever it is, something's amiss. Poor decision making, and the responsibility of that, does it you know, is it on Brendan Rodgers? I get what James said earlier. You know, Brendan Rodgers should be putting out a team which is capable of beating Carrot. I understand that, but the bigger issue for me has been the lack of recruitment, the lack of bigger, better players coming in to replace the likes of Kyogo and Nicholas Kuhn. Celtic took a risk. The risk didn't pay off, and I think the most damning indictment, you know, whether people want to listen to me or the support or whatever, whether they do or they don't. The most damning thing is Callum McGregor, the club captain, who's really thoughtful and responsible in the way that he speaks, the way he acts. For him to come out and say that the club need bodies in the door, players in the door, so they can compete at all levels, that's a pretty big statement. And you know, you just hope that the recruitment department, the hierarchy at Celtic, you know, will listen to him or have listened to him. And you know, whether Dolberg comes in, which, you know, is a possibility, it's, you know, it has been messy. You can't get away from that fact. And I know Neil in the studio would have experienced sort of a similar difficult situation. But just a serious question is, how difficult is it? I mean, should the recruitment department, the hierarchy, be cut a bit of slack?
So here's my point. Here's my point on it. They get to the knockout stages last year, played really well against Bayern Munich. I know Kyogo's already gone, so and if Brendan wants to improve on that, then you're going to have to spend on quality players. But what if the agents and representatives are saying, yeah, we'll come to Glasgow, but only on the premise of guaranteed Champions League football? So what I'm saying to you is, maybe the club did have players lined up, but on the premise of them being in the Champions League. Do you understand the point I'm trying to make?
I understand that, but how do other clubs get it done then? I think Club
because
Brugge,
Glasgow, whether we like it or not, so Scotland at times is a hard sell.
But these two players have come in, Neil, regardless of the fact that they're not in the Champions League, because they came afterwards.
Are these players going to take Celtic to the next level?
But would that not have been better to have even had the option of two players in the door before?
We're going round about, you know, Celtic, the board and the recruitment and everything. Forget that Celtic team is good enough to beat Carrot Almighty during the week. That's where the fallouts came from. I mean, we're going away from the two games against that.
Not the biggest issue.
Yeah, it is, Chris.
No.
It is, because that would have had a knock-on effect on what they would have done.
They still should have players. They should still have players.
They should still be winning that game.
They lost Jota, still have through injury, through no fault of anybody's.
Still have to pay them, though.
But, you know, Kuhn, and let's get it right, Kuhn for half a season after Munich didn't kick a ball.
After he gets
Kyogo's the big one for me. He's not been replaced at all. So that's a miss.
They've not been replaced. That is the issue.
But in 2013, like, I lost Hooper, Wanyama and Kelvin Wilson in the build-up to Carrigandy. We actually made it over the line, but we couldn't replace that quality of player after that. You know, so the team actually declined rather than went forward, and this is sort of symptomatic.
The game.
What, the players?
Aye.
The players in?
Aye.
Of course it would, yeah.
So the fact that this did happen while you were at Celtic, and it's happened for Brendan Rodgers, are you in agreement that there is a trend here, or is this?
No, I think
is it just
I think
happened
the club
this
will
way a
budget for
couple of
being in the
times?
Champions League and not being in the Champions League straight away, right? That's already guaranteed. But what I'm saying to Chris and everyone else is maybe the players that Brendan wanted of the ilk, of the quality to take the club on from the knockout phase to the last 16 or the quarter-finals, they cost money, they're quality players, but they're not going to come to Scotland unless Celtic are in the Champions League.
Like what it's been, because he's been saying for a number of weeks, we need players in the door. If that was the case, it would be clear that the players he's targeting are maybe on the fence whether they're coming in before or after the Champions League game.
But if I'm an agent of a player that Celtic wanted and say he's worth like 12, 15 million quid, you know, I could take him maybe to La Liga, I can maybe take him to Serie A. I can take him to Scotland, but the carrot of Scotland is Champions League football. But
Neil,
it's not
you're
guaranteed,
making excuses, Neil. You're
making explanations, Chris.
No, you're making excuses. The bottom line is Celtic had to get replacements in for these players. Other clubs get it done, and it's just too easy.
Yeah, but maybe not of the quality of the players that left the building.
Well, let's just wait and see. But other clubs get it done. To lose Kyogo and not replace him, who knows? Had we kept Kyogo, had Celtic kept Kyogo, could have won the cup final. To actually sell Kyogo when still in the Champions League, you know, was that the right thing to do? And then that's where supporters question the club hierarchy's ambition. It's not just enough to stay ahead of Rangers. The supporters want more than that. Hence the board have come.
But what are you going to do though? Stay ahead of Rangers in terms of what? You're never going to conquer Europe. It's all could have, would have, should have. If you look at it, could have won the cup, could have went further in Europe. Last year against Bayern Munich was the glass ceiling for Celtic. They're not going any further. They ain't going any further. No chance.
But that's the holy grail, isn't it? You know what I mean, Buddy, to try and improve on it. And that's maybe one of the reasons why Brendan came back for Champions League football. But these players cost money.
He's talking about excuses and everything there as well, and you're trying to cover up and you're trying to say this, you're trying to say that. The reality is, nobody is speaking about the two performances against the Kazakhstan champions. Nobody's speaking about them. They were terrible. They were terrible, and everybody is on the board. Yeah, but we're still going on about the board, still going on about players. So
what are you saying?
They should still have had enough to win that game of football.
Why do you want to talk about the performance? Where does that fit into the conversation?
It fits into the conversation because everybody's going on that Brendan Rodgers needs players in. Brendan Rodgers' team, Idah, Engels, Trusty, again, they're the big summer signings last year. Where are they? Bernardo, there's another one that's not been seen. He's had money to spend. I said it last week. He spent over £63 million. £63 million
players this summer.
Everybody needs players.
Chris James, I understand what you're saying, Chris, but it's as simple as this. It's about giving yourself the best opportunity of qualifying for the Champions League. And did Celtic do that? They didn't. Hence why a lot of supporters think it's a dereliction of duty. And you know, hands up, I feel the same way. There should have been players replaced. Kyogo should have been replaced. Nicholas Kuhn should have been replaced. It's also, Brendan has to take responsibility for the team on the pitch. Having Kieran Tierney, who cannot finish a game, and then playing Liam Scales as a left-back, that's not good planning. That's not good strategy. Okay, so you can say it's a collective, but not bringing players in has been the biggest fault for Celtic, you know, over the last few months.
They should just play one of the 15 centre midfielders have got in those positions.